Mikhail Aïvanhov. Part 3. Interviews, Quebec. June 12, 2019. Well, dear friends, I present to you all my blessings and all my love. So I come to play like I used to. You saw, I came first and I come last. And, of course, to answer all your questions, because I think you have discussed, lived a lot of things, during these few days, and Head Chief explained to you some elements concerning Quebec. And through your testimonies and all that you have experienced, I suppose you have a lot to say to me, to ask me. And I will have a sincere and profound joy in accompanying you during these moments that are dedicated to me and to you, to answer your questions and help you to settle down more and more, as Egba says, in a gape, right? So, we will go, dear friends, be able to start the questioning. I'm listening to you. Voice. Hello Oma, I just wanted to tell you, since I didn't have the privilege of meeting you in this incarnation, a big thank you for your teaching. You have a place in my heart. Thank you. I hope I have a place in your heart, laughs, because everyone is in your heart. For you know that all creation is in your heart, laughs. But I thank you, though, for this delicate attention. Then we can continue, of course. Voice. The written questions have already been completed. Laughs. Well, we'll take the oral questions. They're not going to do like in France, to fall asleep as soon as I get there. Laughs. Voice. Yes, hello Oma. As we arrived, and settled in to hear you, I wondered how it was that we were with such a beautiful harmony right now. It's because you're a corpser, laughs. That's the fastest answer I've ever given in my life. Laughs. No, I don't have anything to add, that's evident. You're in the heart, already, naturally, from birth, if I may say. You have not been diverted too much, if I may say so, by the cultural aspect, the societal, political or financial aspect. And then, of course, as I have already said, there are all these trees and all this water which is everywhere and which is extremely important, and there is also a particular function of this territory, this country, with its energies, and also, of course, of your French origin. But it goes back a long time and has allowed you, as Head Chief said, which preceded me, to escape from what has happened in Europe in general, for more than 200 years, so you have been preserved, by the territory, by what you have preserved of this authenticity, if I can say, unlike your French cousins, haven't you? But I think I've had a chance to say it here, every time I've had the opportunity to come here, every time I've had an interview, haven't I? There you go. So you were predisposed to settle into this and live it with the greatest facility and the greatest certainty. We will have to tell Head Chief that he corrects his statistics when he comes to Quebec. It's not 90%, it's 100% for here. Laughs. Voice. We will tell him. Laughs. Voice. On the other hand, is it fair to think that we here, in these few days, we are all ready to ask our personality, ego to take its place, only its place? But you don't need to ask. This is done automatically. You are what I would call, overall, an inserted and perfectly balanced ego. Of course, there are always people in all countries who are in confrontation, in opposition. But this is general. But the proportion of those of you who have retained this authenticity is obviously high compared to other countries. And then I said it and I repeat it, there are the trees, there is the immensity of the territory, and there is also, of course, all this water, which has been, to some extent, preserved from everything that happens in the waters of the earth. For example, pesticides, plastic. You still have a degree of territorial purity, which is second to none, and which makes it possible to establish the light, and to establish the truth in a much broader way than in other places, quite simply. And in particular in relation to Europe. So you can quite think so, and moreover I would say that, as soon as you experience the slightest moment of a gape, of naked joy, do not worry about your ego. Don't worry about it, everything is done automatically. Don't try to fix something in the ego, because you will strengthen it. just live as you say this harmony, so particular that you have lived here, and that you have induced everywhere as a new breath, a breath of freshness, of truth stripped of all spiritualities and all Cartesian aspects. Those found in other French-speaking countries and in other countries as well, to a lesser degree. So take care of living, take care of fraternizing, take care of letting your deep being, that harmony you have experienced here, shine through. I remind you that it does not need you, it is installed with ease, at home. And it will contaminate, as Ego would say, the entire territory. You don't need a speech, you don't need a demonstration, you just need to be present, clear-sighted in your life and to be as you are, spontaneously covered with the gate now. That's it, it's simple. Voice. Thank you very much. And I think that Chief must have seen that the testimonies came from many countries, and not only French-speaking, concerning your experiences, your testimonies, your questions too. You have really created, not only the presence of Ego or Head Chief who is the same, or me, or others, but by your listening, your embrace, which you have realized here and now, in this space, it has allowed countless brothers and sisters from all over the planet to find the last elements, I would say, of their personal puzzle, that is, the last resistances, the last understandings, with a strength and a burst that have never been matched. That's it, it's not to praise you or to pass you the brush to shine, but it's really the strict truth. Your heart was made to shine again, and it is it that, through your words, through your testimonies, and what has taken place here, has allowed this particular expansion of what has taken place over the past few days. That's it, it's that simple. Any other questions? Voice. Love to you. Love to all of you. Voice. It is for a request for explanations. Then let's go. Voice. I would like to understand how the Agape network, which we are creating, acts not only on the collective, but also on our other self, on other dimensions or planes. So it's very simple. It does not work through energies or consciousness. This is done directly through the Christic matrix, which has been deployed on Earth for a year. And also directly by the zero time. Zero time is not explainable. It is the source of all information, it is the source of love, it is the source of the absolute as Baidu would say, or the parade Brahman. That's what makes it available. For both the earth and all other dimensions. This is what I call, as Head Chief, the good news. The end of the dream of creation, as he said. And this good news, as he actually tried to explain to you, is recognized, because it is your due. It's written in all your cells, it's written everywhere. It just wasn't activated yet. This was activated by the end of the primary anomaly, it was activated by the activation of the source codes by the Genetician mothers and the grandmothers, through Theham. And of course, here, as I mentioned water, the information that has been collected by water will be, in a few days' time, I believe here, in water, with Feham, will allow you to see that this good news will be transported through water that is a medium, from the waters below to the waters above. It is neither through energy, nor through the vibral, nor through what we call dimensions. But zero time is discovered and experienced from everywhere at the same time. Not only in this solar system, not only in this universe, but in all multiverses and in all that had been called the 7 super-universes. Zero-time information is present and active from everywhere. That is how it happens. It's a recognition. There is no need to transport, communicate, send energies and light since zero-time predates all of this. And yet it contains all of this. That's how it works, and we told you, we're around you. No longer around the sun, near the Stargate, but directly in the Earth's atmosphere. And then, the advantage, as everything is in you, it happens directly, in you. It doesn't have to go through energy coding, or transportation, or travel, if you prefer anything. This happens naturally. The natural state having been found, here, in the very heart of the deep upstream, this was enough to give the signal within the most ethereal worlds. But do not consider a faith with such a propagation as you know with energy or vibration. It's way beyond that. It's like I said, a recognition, or if you prefer an alarm clock. The information, moreover, was available very quickly, and as soon as the primary anomaly was resolved by Eber, it made it possible to find all of you Eber and to reach the source immediately, since the source itself, you said that it was the oath and the promise. And of course, since the source is the source of all manifestations of consciousness and the other dimensions are not cut off from the source, they have already received the information for a year. But we had to go back through history. And by closing the book, as Eber said, everything you are experiencing now has already been described for many months. It was necessary to go through particular places, since everything was written. We had to travel through them, live them, and indeed, today in this country, Quebec, you have the purpose of the spatial and temporal loop that is being realized right here. So I would say, you've deployed a lot more for humanity here. Because for the other dimensions, it had already been done, and, as Eber sensed, it was necessary to give a little time, even if he was in a hurry a short while ago, so that the good news, here on Earth, would be more and more accessible. And especially for the dreamers of consciousness, and especially for those who risked opposing and therefore suffering at the time of the event. Quite simply, you recognized yourself. You talk about harmony in this place. Then you talked after to find out how the information spread. Zero-time information does not require energy and does not require vibration. But I think Eber explained this to you at length. One more question. Voice. Hello OMA. I'll try to put into words what I feel. Move voice. All right. Voice. The tears that flow are already tears of joy, and what I experience in myself is like the end of all the processes of successive incarnations. And I feel beings around me talking to me. In September, when I was at Commerce, the last word I said to Eber was, finally. And the love that I live, that I feel, is everything that could have been experienced before, with the difficulties, the sorrows, the sufferings, that everything ends, that everything is finished. An immense weight, an immense heaviness leaves me, and I feel within me this lightness of being of love that I am, this being of love that I am liberated from everything. And yes, as Head Chief said, you can only recognize yourself in this love. You can never doubt that. Even if, of course, there are always fluctuations with what is conducted as a human being. You're obliged to continue to live. When you say, it is the end of suffering, yes, it is the end of research. It's total appeasement. You recognized yourself, yes, of course. Voice. Sometimes I free myself from a charge, from all the heaviness of what was tight, in the incarnations, one after the other. I'm grateful for that. But I know, like everything else in creation, everything that could be liberated in creation. From what we are experiencing, here, we're free of it. That's right. That's right. As I said, Quebec is a big family. In addition, I think you are much less numerous than the French, and, above all, you have a much softer head. You know, after, and when I say after, it's in a few days, when, of course, you will just think about what happened here, you'll see changes everywhere. And not only in you, and not only thanks to you, to the influence, but the whole territory has been affected. This is not a joke. That is the strict truth. And I had already noticed this when I came. When I was alive. But it was too early. But nevertheless, it allowed me to understand certain things too, and the intelligence of the light allowed me to come and express myself in this territory so dear to my heart. And of course, with the Head Chief Eber, who has set his feet here, you will, of course, find that in all sectors of your life, but also in society and politics, there will be this new breath of fresh air that will appear. It's obvious, as Head Chief would say. You can only see it from everywhere. By going shopping, and even to your bankers and even to your politicians. This is the zero-time information. And even if they do not know what it is, you will notice that all your relationships, interactions, in whatever field they may be, will be calmed, transformed, modified with an important word, with more liveness, more love, and even more sincerity. And that's the truth. But you will live it and see it for yourself. For the moment you are still in this particular harmony of this place between us and between you. But it's not just for you, of course. The good news, as I said, it has already arrived in all dimensions. But of course, you see how long it has been, even since the end of what I called the 132 days. And you will somehow, simply by living your life, establish the good news even more and make it available, as I said, to all the situations you will encounter in this country, but not only. You will see it all over the world very, very quickly. I believe that you still have to meet the peoples of the cetaceans, who will also pass on this good news, as they did last year when the dream ended and the source code of the Great Mothers was released in February. But remember to keep it simple about that. Live your life. Live life as Eka says. And in your country both are possible, because you have not been forced, for example, in European countries or English-speaking Anglo-Saxon countries. You're a special case. I wouldn't go so far as to say that you're a role model, but that you are a reference form for zero time. And miracles will abound in you much more than elsewhere, at first. You'll see this new breath manifesting itself from everywhere. I mean from all over you. And this will drive this good news and this breath to accelerate, in a way, the coming of the event for the whole earth and for all creation. Do not conceive of it as a vainglory, if I may say so, but simply as the evidence and concretization of what is so dear to your heart in this territory and among yourselves. Even without knowing you. You can see it here. You didn't all know each other. And you can say that you are one big family. And that this family is not only here, but throughout Quebec, and this will resonate from all over the world. And if I use the word resonate, it is not by chance. And I tell you, wait for the next step. There is still Faham left. It's not over yet. Laughs. Voice. Namaste. This is the first time we've met. Pleased to meet you. Voice. My heart is so open right now that it almost hurts. You're not going to make us faint. Laughs. Is there any emergency equipment here? Voice. A few nurses. I'm kidding, keep talking. She would be the most beautiful of the dead, but I reassure you, no one is dead, no one is dying yet. Besides, it's not a death. Voice. I was a nurse before, and then again before, I was an educator, and now I find myself at home, disabled. I wonder with all the demonstrations that are happening to me, if I have anything to do with it. If I have to share it. Of course, don't share your knowledge. Share your experiences and what you are. And you will see that a lot is happening to you right now, not just the demonstrations, but also the transformations that this brings about. So you're exactly where you belong, at home as an invalid. You have means of communication, you have the artistic means. You have what you say, simply, in your everyday life, and everything you also experience, which is active, of course, without your knowledge of your own free will and especially without any will. So don't ask yourself what to do, it's done without you and alone. So enjoy it. Voice. Thank you. And by the way, you're not alone, you're with someone, are you? But you're all accompanied. There are many of you there, who will leave with it, regardless of what is happening there, in the middle of your chest, a little less alone, if you can call it that. There are some who live it here, but here I advise you to try to stay in touch even by virtual means, so that you can exchange with each other, not to strengthen anything or remind you of memories, but because you know how to create the harmony we were talking about earlier. And because, perhaps, at certain times in your lives, you will need, even you, having lived what you are living now, to find this harmony in the present, to somehow recharge your batteries, to somehow relieve yourself of the vicissitudes of your lives, your habits of matter, if I can say so. But in any case, things are very, very clear. You live it, you testify to it, and I tell you, it's not over. And besides, I know that even head chief, he always has fun as soon as there are events that are lived, not to play that diviner and prophets, but without impatience, however, not to give dates, but circumstances in relation to the dates. That's quite right. But now that you are here, you, in Quebec, that you are contaminated, but then, radically and totally, I tell you, and it is not a word I used for nothing, there is an unprecedented breath that is spreading from everywhere. You'll see, you'll have countless testimonies, in the coming weeks, from brothers and sisters, here and everywhere, who will realize that what has been said, not only by us, not only by Head Chief, not only by Eba, but by all the exchanges you have had that have a phenomenal impact. That's right, that's right. So don't look for noon to 2 o'clock, don't look anywhere but the heart. Just, as the saying goes, Head Chief, let yourself live. A joy that will grow. And I don't even know how you're gonna get yourself to stop laughing anytime soon. Laughs. But hey, dying of laughter is certainly one of the most pleasant things. All right. Voice, surely. And for the sister's question earlier, it's enough, just to be where you are. Life has put you on disability, but we don't care about that. From where you are, you will laugh, and from where you are, you will all laugh. It's the same good news. See, you had brothers and sisters here, as I told you the first time, who were living the fire of their hearts, who were liberated, but here you are all in this mood. Without exception. In fact, if you have news of the next groups that will come to this place, you will tell me about them. Laughs. Because in this place, there's something that's going to be printed on the walls. The remanence, which is inscribed precisely in this place, and in this city. You'll have fun one day looking at the cards. Where is the place where we are in relation to certain cities, the precise location? You will discover special things. This is for fun, you don't need it, but it's always very pleasant to observe directly at home, this fusion, as Ekba said, of the simulacrum and the sacred. It is, indeed, when I was incarnate, I often said it is divine magic, the magic of the light. And it's your magic too. You will also see that the chaos of the world will indeed increase. But whether you will be left out of moderate climatic imbalances, you will be very little affected by societal unrest or chaos events, quite the contrary. You will not be a model, that is not the word, but a paradise in the hell of resolution. I say that, but you're going to have thousands of people who will want to come here. I'm going to be arrested by the immigration services. Laughs. It has already begun. But wait a minute. Surprise, surprise! Just be yourself. Live what life gives you to live. That's enough. You will only be able to see, as I said earlier, the effects, the results, the magic that is at work. Another testimony, another thing to say. Voice. I know who the first 2 people to arrive in Quebec will be. I said thousands, I didn't say 2. But I know the first 2, it's Head Chief and LT. Laughs. Ah. You know, Head Chief, he doesn't decide anything. He understood perfectly that everything is written and that everything is traced. He just has to follow the road. That's wonderful, and so are you. Voice. It was from my heart that I got this information. Yes, I think many of you had it. We can't hide anything from you. You guys are terrible. Laughs. That's spontaneity, love. And yes, when love is there, everything is simplified. Everything is clear. And soon everything is perfect. But in this country too, where I had been, there was some form of preparation, if I may say so. You have also had beings who were here, who have given you special teachings. Well, you also have puppets like everywhere else, that is to say, those who disguise things, but that's all right. Let them dream. Indeed, your inner clarity, which is the gift of grace, the gift of agape, will strengthen you both, in what may seem to you, unlived, difficult. And I repeat this to you in all areas of your lives. But I say this not only for this assembly, here, but really for this whole country. Another question. Voice. Hello OMA. Hello. Voices. In 2014 or 2015, I had 2 events and I would like to know if you can explain. At one point, I was sitting in the living room and the sun was calling me. I was asked to leave the house and I settled directly in front of the sun, and I had already meditated before that day, but on that day I meditated for 2 hours. My legs were welded at the waist, I couldn't move, and after the meditation, it took me about half an hour to walk 30 seconds from home. To get your body back. Voice. Yes. He was not moving and I touched my legs and it was painful, like it was after doing an intensive sport. It's lactic acid, I think. This is the first event. Voice. The second one. I was in the car and it told me to get out of the car and look where the sun is going. And it was urgent. I had to do it right now. I found a place, parked the car, got out. But there, on the other hand, I was with my eyes open. I looked at the sun and saw like a white curtain, like a transparent one, and there I saw beings running and dressed in suits, like coming from space. It looked like this. That's it, that's how I saw them. They were running, they were jumping, and then what I saw in the background was a waterfall. And the water that fell was half silver and half gold. And that's all. So, the first experience, you know, when I was incarnate, I greeted the sun, which for me was the representation, and for everyone else, of Christ, wasn't it? What you experienced in your first experience is a mechanism that could be similar to stasis or sideration. Besides, you say yourself that you had trouble getting your body back. And in the second experiment, it's a little different. Here, we will say, the veils of the binary matrix have torn, and reveal the truth. In the same way that I explained years ago, that many of you, lying down at night, saw presences, or felt presences, or saw lights. The lattice work is terrible on the ceiling of the room, terrible of confinement. The lattice is related to what was called, a few years ago, the predation lines, which have actually been reduced, which have disappeared. And what is being torn apart today, in what you have lived through, is precisely the veils between this world and the other worlds. Between confinement and truth. So these were special moments, which allowed you as an individual to live the stasis and then to live, I would say, what is really happening on the level of the invisible. Voice. Thank you. Another question. Voice. Hello OMA, head chief has already told me something, and I still have questions. When I send love to someone who needs it, I feel my heart unfold really hard. It really pushes my stomach. Do I interfere in the person's divine plan? Yes, you intervene, yes, but you still have one step to go, and I think head chief told you about his misadventures with Bida last year, several times. Laughs. Well, for you, it's exactly the same thing. Stop projecting this love that you have in you, which is real because the other one is already in you. Be aware that it is in you. You no longer even need to embrace him as an empath and feel what he has, but simply to decree that he is in you and he will be healed. There is no need for energies, projections of light or love. You're the intelligence of light, you're agape. And you are also the other, so you have neither to send, nor to move, nor even to receive it, it is already in you. And at that moment, it will remove the last illusion of believing that something is coming out, even if it is the light. Accept it, but beyond the embrace, accept it within yourself. But without moving, and you will also notice that simply by saying his last and first name, he is healed and completely cured. For the moment you are perhaps still too much turned towards the exteriorization of consciousness and light and love, and of your capacities. But your love. First of all. So any other, in a relationship of being, or service, as soon as we talk to you, it is not even worth going to see, as Bida told head chief, what Kekra is sick. There is no need to receive any information, because even using true light as you do, there is still duality. There's you and there's the other one. You do a love transfer, if you want. And you have nothing to send and nothing to receive, it is already in us. Voice. Because we are doing it. But because you're doing 0, not 1, laughs, not even 1. Creation is inside your heart. What is the point of going to manifest it even through help, by sending light? It is no longer necessary to absorb the essences as head chief said last year, but accepts that this has already been done. In you. And you will see the miracle will be permanent. And that's what I urge you all to do here. And that's where you all have, without exception, the same capacity, just because you're head chief forever, even if for logistical or pedagogical reasons, it is always on the move above, or what you could call it, in advance, but it is not a superiority. It's just to allow you to find yourself in there as well. Head chief, he doesn't do this to be admired or recognized. He doesn't need it. Well, it's the same for you. Voice. But then, you checked it here, with the Agape Resonance Network. Well, we didn't have any other parties because you had fun, but it was just as good. But try, sent nothing, receive nothing. There is no need to move. Everything is available here. At zero time, in Shanti-Malaya, in the dwelling of supreme peace, in Saturday Chit and Amda, everything is there. Accept it and you will check it instantly. You don't need to send or receive anything now. You put yourself in your heart with your heart. Speak the last and first name of the sister and brother and do not try to find out what is wrong with them. The intelligence of the light, which is you, will do the work. It's still much less tiring and you'll get more efficiency for everyone else. But above all, a better stability of zero time, whatever happens in the miseries of your life. Try it, you'll see. Voice. So when I pass entities, when people stick to me, I call my family of light so that they can bring light into the entity that sticks to me. You don't need anyone. You're autonomous and free. Even if you see, all that presence isn't that you work with certain peoples, certain archangels, they are also in you. That's what you still have to do, to check. And you'll see that your body will be 10 times better off. Of course, head chief, too, when he projected, he felt things in his stomach, but it was transmuted into his heart. But you don't have to go through that now. Voice. But when I feel negative entities, but they are in you, the negative entities you see, without exception. The devil is also in you. He's you. You still put, despite all your abilities, an unconscious barrier linked to your functioning mechanisms that you have experienced. You saw it was working, but don't just stand there. There are no more negative entities than there are light entities. Everything is you. You're the tree. You're the butterfly. You're the devil. You're the archangel, you're the source. You're Eva. And you will see that you will see an efficiency of the order of immediacy. You will escape the metabolism of energy and vibration and, above all, you will notice phenomenal changes in yourself, in your physiology, in your functioning mechanism. They'll take away your disability pension. But it's not me. Laughs. Voice. But it's not funny. Oh well, yes. You don't have to be lazy. Well, if you have to be, you just have to be very lazy. And don't worry about anything. You know what you're going through. You have a clear perception. But you're still missing the clarity on what I just told you. All the entities you see, they are, too. There used to be specialists in the absorption of demon essences, but you don't even have to absorb them now. It's over now. It's time zero. Voice. So I don't even need the sentinels of light anymore. But, you're the light. Of course, they'll stay here. They are good. Of course, you'll have more and more manifestations of light. You'll see it when you do that. Besides, do you consider that you're calling the sentinels of light? Do you consider that they are not there and that you have to call them? But, no, they're in you, realize it, try it. And what I say about our sister is true for each of you. Whatever your perceptions, or your lack of perception, even if you do not see any entity, energy, or light, vessels, even if you have not experienced anything of everything that the brothers and sisters here describe in abundance, you will have the same capacity. And if I wanted to be even more incisive, I would say that it is your duty to verify that all creation is you. So don't play this game anymore, in a way, of the black entity, against which your family of light or your archangels had to be called upon. Because somewhere along the line, it means that in you, despite everything you're going through, there are still little fears, linked to little habits, that are hidden there. Which explains some of the anomalies, which you have experienced, perhaps for years, from what I see, in your body of flesh. But it is now time to reintegrate all this into the body of flesh, not just to rely on light and energies, because the transmutation, the transubstantiation of this body happens precisely because I just told you. Check it out. Don't believe me? Put it into practice and you'll see. The miracle will be permanent. We must stop dividing what is unified. Check it out. You don't need to see. You don't need to feel. You don't need to send. You don't need to receive. You need to be there completely. And when I say that, it means accepting that all these entities, that you see, and that all these real visions of all these different stellar peoples, the archangels, are in you. It will avoid energy consumption, it will avoid this action of light that you direct. But you're the intelligence of the light, and all this is you, in you. Check it out and you'll see. We'll talk about it again, if we get a chance in a few days or weeks. But it will be even more effective, even more true. And above all, remember what I told you. All the worries of your body, but also sometimes the fluctuations you experience under certain circumstances, which disturb you in all sectors, will no longer exist. Keep it simple. You're the light. Whether you see it or not, whether you feel it or not. Declare it. Take responsibility for it. And your body will be fine. Everything that was suffering in you will disappear, in its entirety. Voice. Thank you, OMA. That's another step I'm proposing. A step that will, how to say, be much more rewarding, and especially that will do a lot of good to this body of flesh. We can continue. Voice. Hello, OMA. Hello. Voice. I had the great privilege of welcoming you to your first visit to Montreal. Ah. It was you. Laughs. Voice. I must tell you that since then, my life has been marked by miracles, by immense gifts. Well, it took me a while to realize that. And what was that cover you had in your hand, when you welcomed me? I don't remember. Voice. It was the pouch in which I was carrying. There was a note on it. I don't remember. Voices. It was part of Air Canada's uniform. Ah. All right. See, I'm also losing my mind a little bit. But I knew you had something in your hands. Voice. So you were coming from New York, and you told us spontaneously. New York. It's like a jungle. We had a good laugh, and then after I took you to the reception room, with the people of the White Brotherhood. Well, that's in the past. I want to say a big thank you to you today, because I repeat again that my life is full of miracles, gifts, and I don't ask for anything. Voice. You're in my heart forever. And yes, I'm new. Voice. Thank you. And why didn't you walk me home anyway? Laughs. Voice. Yes, I did drive you back from Mirabel. We took an Air Canada car to take you to the plane. No, I don't think so. Voice. I don't remember if I got in the car with you, I don't remember. I thought I said goodbye to you at the car. Or at least, as soon as you enter the airport, but I don't remember. Well, that's all in the past. Voice. Yes, but it's a memory I wanted to share with you. That's very kind of you. I'm here with you. Voice. And it's even a miracle that I'm also with you today. I didn't expect that. The intelligence of light has planned everything. As Ego would say, everything is written. Voice. Thank you again. There is no place for chance, and there is no place for choice. Love is not a choice, never. Love is obvious. Voice. I realized it, I think. And you still wear these very pretty clothes, with colors like they were then. Maybe we'll go out, because I might have something to tell you. But then, it's okay, we'll move on, but I also remember that. Voice. It was a severe costume in my work anyway. Yes, but it was pretty. Laughs. That must have changed a lot since the outfits, hasn't it? Voice. I've been retired for a long time now. Ah. Well, yes, yes. I suspect since you welcomed me, you can't be a young man. Laughs. Voice. But now I'm dressed in the joy of life. As much as possible. That's very good. Voice. Thank you, Oma. Without it, we'll both be remembered, like two old spoilers, so? Laughs. It was a small aside. Let's keep going. Voice. Hello OMA. Hello. Voice. I would like your opinion on the experiences of intense vibrations, really very intense, for many years, with the experiences of frequent pre-stashes as well. I am told not to carry my conscience, what I am trying to do. On what about the vibration or the pre-stashes? Voice. On the vibration. Yes, that's exactly what it is. If today's vibrations burn you too much or take your consciousness away, it simply means that your consciousness has not yet said zero time, in its entirety, and not that you have things to deal with. And that explains, as you said, that you have moments of sadness that escape all causes, doesn't it? Voice. Yes, but why is it taking so long? Because your consciousness unconsciously, if I may say so, is turned towards vibrations. That's another time. It is all the teaching of other dimensions, of the expansion of consciousness that is vibration. But you are anterior to consciousness, and as long as you have not stabilized, that is to say that you will no longer be trained in consciousness by vibrations, you will remain effectively embarrassed, as you say, with oscillations of mood and even form, vitality, despite vibrations. You must be able to see that you're a dazzling shape, and then all of a sudden, poof. There's nothing left. Voice. Yes. So to avoid this, you say, agape, 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 fame, faham, and you no longer think about vibrations. They will remain, of course, but they will no longer cause fluctuations in mood, in vital energy. It's as simple as that. That is to say, when a vibration is felt very intensely, whatever the place, because you experience it in several places, it will be enough to place yourself in the heart of the heart, since you have already embraced yourself. You can help yourself with the gestures given to you by head chief, such as joining your hands in front of your chest or saying out loud agape, 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 fame, faham, simply. This will free your consciousness, which has directed itself, without your knowledge, towards vibrations. You know what I mean? Voice. Yes. There, what about the pre-stashes? And here too, you'll soon notice the disappearance of headaches. In particular, there will no longer be too intense variations in vitality. And above all, these moments of sadness for no reason will no longer exist. You'll become very light. The vibrations will not stop, but your consciousness will no longer be trained. It's very simple. I also remind you that you have something that will help you a lot. It's not your visions, and what you perceive and feel is to simply go into the forest. To simply lean your back against trees without asking for anything, just by putting your back down. You're going to reach the 0 point, the heart of the heart. And you will find that your vitality will be perfect. You go there for a few hours every day or every other day. It's the best help you can get. Are you walking in the forest? Voice. Yes. I mainly go to the waterfront. No, not the water. Forests. Water will amplify your energies, and the processes of consciousness, but I said the forest, in your case. Not the water. On the contrary. Not the water. The tree. What will the water do? It will resonate, it will strengthen the vibratory and conscious process. The tree will align your consciousness, your supraconsciousness and your consciousness. It will be immediate. But if you go to a forest by the water, it won't be the same. Instead, go to a forest, if you have the opportunity, located not next to the water, but rather high up. Voice. The mountain. There you go. But not a high mountain, a mountain with trees. Well, it's better with deciduous trees. Given your perceptions, rather than trees or pines. It's more like hardwoods. Even if it's autumn and there's no more leaves. And put your back against the tree. You're going to see it disappear in 10 minutes, all that. Voice. Okay. Also, could you tell me about the pre-stashes? What's the point? The pre-stashes was especially what you experienced, for some of you, for example, for a sister who experienced it in 2013 or 2014, but for many of you at the end of January, at times, But today, you have brothers and sisters who are living this pre-stasis and who can't really move. It must be like that for them. But today, if you adopt what I said earlier in relation to trees, and indeed those that are still living in sluggish times, like that. Move your asses, please. Go to the trees. There's no need to stay in pre-stasis now. Try it and you'll see. Voice. Thank you, Omar. You're welcome. Another question. Voice. Hello, Omar. I still see the etheric lattices in my room. I live in a house that has difficulty accepting repairs. I try to sell the house, but it doesn't sell. The body I live in has chronic problems. What is not freeing me? But why imagine that there is something that doesn't free itself? Chronic problems must be treated, of course, but do not imagine that it is resistance or other. That's it. Now, if you want to recover a young woman's vitality and see that problems of chronic diseases lessen, there is also the forest. There too, there is a gate, Vaham. There too, there is the key to your last and first name. It's not going to be immediate right away, but you're going to see changes very quickly. What was your question about the etheric grids? Voice. You said that the etheric grids were breaking down. Yes. But it still exists. The day there is no more etheric grid, you are no longer there. Now, seeing him is one thing. Some people see it from time to time and others never see it. But I don't understand why you're talking about the grid, do I? Voice. I thought this was, in addition to all the scenarios I just described to you. You mean not selling the house and? Voice. The body. Not selling the house and the body. You know, I and others like Head Chief have said it. What must happen will happen, no matter what you do, and what must not happen will not happen, no matter what you do. Now the grid, I don't see the connection, but it's okay. What I mean today is that the intelligence of the light that you are is capable of performing miracles for everyone, from the moment when Head Chief has repeated it enough, from the moment you accept it, when you let yourself be crossed, when you embrace. With the new breath I spoke of, the good news, the zero time, which was spreading throughout this territory, many things will change. But there are also brothers and sisters all over the world, who, as you can imagine, are trying to change places for one reason or another, no matter what, and that doesn't happen. It's not a punishment, it's not an anomaly, it's not entities. It's just because as it stands now, and under your own circumstances, you must still be there, that's all. But the important thing is not there. The most important thing is what I said just before, for the elimination of chronic diseases. Especially for chronic diseases, it is something that is carried, that is known and that is there. That's exactly what you need to love right now. And you will see that these chronic diseases are totally transformed. See no blockage, no resistance, no memories, just a form of metabolism, between zero time, the body of eternity and the physical body that is not yet finalized. But it is never a punishment, or because of a place, or a husband, or a wife, or anything. That's exactly what you have to go through. Precisely to verify, to put into practice the intelligence of light, the fires of the Sacred Heart. Voice. Thank you, Omar. Thank you. Another question. Voice. Hello, Omar. Earlier, I told you about the events I experienced. There was one where you didn't tell me anything and I wanted to know. Which one? Voice. When I saw the waterfall with the colors, gold and silver. Under special circumstances. I don't remember that. Voice. Yes, I said it at the end. It was a waterfall, half of which was gold and the other half silver. Yes, yes. I had to pass this. Then repeat it. But when you told me about and everything, I explained that to you. Voice. Yes, but not the waterfall. So, tell me again about this whole experience so that I can see how it works. Voice. So this time, my eyes were. I looked at the sun in front of me, and then I saw like a white, transparent veil, and I saw people running and jumping from everywhere, and at the back of those people, I saw a waterfall, and the water was half silver and half gold. Yes, I remember. But what do you want to know about that? Voice. What does the 4 represent with these colors? The fact that it's silver and gold? But it doesn't matter in any way. Why do you want to know that? It's just things that have opened up, that have made you see this. What do you want to understand? It's not a dream, it's something you saw. Voice. I just wanted to know why I saw that, if there was a special reason why I saw that, that's all. But there are many visions, he has no reason. Look no further than noon at 2 o'clock, especially on something like that, which has passed. Beyond what I told you, why are you looking for information about what happened years ago? What will it bring you today? Explain it to me. Voice. It's curiosity. Well, that's it, so that's not a question. Voice. Thank you. A few years ago, I explained dreams too, but it's over. It is more important to explain what can bring you closer and light 0 time than anything else. Let what is past pass, pass. Voice. During the first night of the stay here, at one point, I was on my back and I felt at the plexus level that it was turning at the plexus level. It stopped because I put myself on my stomach. Then it started again and it turned to go towards the back and I wondered, did I make it up because it happens that lying on your stomach, you didn't feel things? Oh, well. And for what reason? Voice. That's what the other teachings had told me. Well, the proof. That is not true. You just felt what is called kekra. The wheels of the kekra, that's all. Voice. Oh, yeah. But the fact that it's going backwards. You say you turned yourself, and you felt it behind you. But I remind you that in the kekras themselves, there is a particular constitution with the roots coming out back, gathering, crossing in front of a vertebra, at a kekra, any one of them. Ahead of the back you have some, but if you turn on your stomach, you can very well feel your kekra that you felt in front of, behind. That doesn't mean he moved. It's just the perception that makes you feel like he's moved back and forth. And besides, for those who are still working on the kekras, you know very well that in front or behind, it is in resonance. In front is the emanation and behind is the food. But depending on your position, indeed, you can very well feel in the lying position, as you described it, when you turned around, feel the things that have to go behind. But it's just a perception. Voice. Thank you. Another question. Voice. Hello, I would like to have a clarification on what you mentioned about the pronunciation, aloud, of someone's last and first name. Concerning the lady's remark that she was sending love, you said that it was just a matter of doing that. And what is your question? Voice. I wanted to have a clarification. But you haven't asked it yet, because I don't really see any demand for what has been said. What do you want to know about it? Voice. What should we do with this information? But nothing more. What do you want to do with it? It is the intelligence of light that acts. That's what works. What you just said. What more do you want? Don't think of a disease name. Because if you mix something else, you're already in duality. There's nothing more than what I said and what you said again. Or maybe I don't understand. Voice. I will try to be a little more explicit. When we started doing agape, we were in agape. Let's admit a child. Is it the same thing by saying out loud the child's last name and first name? But, no. You do not embrace him, since he is already in you. You reveal it in yourself. And the healing, it's there. I don't understand what you don't understand about that. Voice. So I just have to say the last and first name? That's all, nothing more. And above all, don't ask for anything. Moreover, you have brothers and sisters who had made a joy of calling all religious dignitaries, all financiers, all political powers and all elites. It's going to be very strange for them. Laughs. There's nothing to ask for. Especially not. And there's nothing else to conceive. If you're really there, and now you perceive it, whether it is through the chakras, the ascensional crown, the terrace, the double terrace, the breathing of the heart, everything is in you. By naming them, you pronounce their verb, noun, first name. Even if you don't have your hands as you were told by head chief. And that's enough. That is the miracle. The intelligence of light. But stop thinking that you're the one who's doing it. Otherwise it will make you, unconsciously make your ankles swell, as they say in French. Meaning, to give importance to oneself. That is, it can make you have a big head without your knowledge. You're not doing anything. What believes it is the character through his perceptions, his visions, his feelings. But stop with that. Everything is already there, in you. It is clear. You see how the character, I'm not talking about ordinary ego, but about habitual behaviors, how the ego wants to find something to do right away. But be autonomous and free. You don't need anything else but to be present. I spoke again this afternoon about the fact that the miracle will happen in all areas of your life. As soon as you look, as soon as you smile, as soon as you contemplate, it is no longer just the observer, as Bida said a few years ago, it is the concrete and objective realization that we are all in each other. And that creation is a dream. Because if you continue like this, you maintain duality somewhere. And don't be surprised, afterwards, if your body doesn't heal. And don't be surprised, afterwards, if events like this happen to you, in an uninterrupted way that come, as if by chance, to destabilize you. It is not a coincidence, it is logic. When you have access, at zero time, when you live the fire of the Sacred Heart, of course, there was a pedagogical step, which was respected, to send, to embrace, to receive, to use the words you want, there was still a movement, but you the eternal I, do not play that anymore. You will observe changes, I tell you, and for our sister too, it is in the functioning of your body but also of your life. Everything becomes lighter and more constant. But you see how the brain, without your knowledge of your own will, tries to take you to do it, to believe it, to act. It was necessary with the gate resonance, with the gate resonance network, it was necessary with what was named by Eber, the fire of the Sacred Heart, but all this is a dream. Stop trying to do it. Stop even wanting to embrace. Because everything is already embraced. Everything is inside you, and you will see very well, at that moment, that nothing comes out and nothing comes in. That's how you set up the eternal I that has never moved. And that you install, not the fire of the Sacred Heart, but the radiance of the Sacred Heart. These are the 24 rays that Head Chief told you about. And you will be in a natural state. But as long as you think you are acting, what was necessary, there was a time, you cannot live the stillness, the great silence, the great joy, and especially the permanence of grace. It's simple what I'm saying. No. For all those who feel through energies, vibrations and light. Check it out, you'll see. I think Head Chief is a perfect illustration of this. Last year he almost passed away, and you can see today what state he's in, right? Because he accepted. He could have checked, because he's stubborn. But he saw that it was the only way. And that it also kept the joy alive no matter what. There was a fixity of radiation, so he could really experience this under the name of the eternal I. Either the absolute I, as Bida says, or the natural state, as Eber says. The natural state does not need you. You're the miracle and you're the good news. So of course, this will put back in place a number of energy therapists who until now believed that they were the ones who were. You're not doing anything. All this is a dream. And that's how you get out of the dream. Totally this time. And the miracle, then, is permanent. And besides, Head Chief sees it well. He no longer needs to lie down, cross his feet and repeat agape, come and close his eyes. It is simply enough that he thinks of the first and last name, without even saying it in healing. And yet, he had nothing to do with it. He's not the one who does it. If he thought it was him, then he'd have a little trouble. That's how you show yourself, your character and your conscience, that you are neither one nor the other. And that is how the permanence of joy settles permanently and can never disappear again. You're the light, so if you project it, even in authentic love, you distance yourself from yourself. And the body, as I said, will demonstrate in this way. On this occasion, you will observe that there are functions, that there are fluctuations, that there are events that occur that you do not understand. It's not a mistake again or a punishment. It's just that you're not fully adjusted to zero time. And so the intelligence of light does not need your direction, your diagnosis, or any action. Accept it, experience it, and see if it is the truth or not. Look at this. It's simple. But of course, as I just told you, habits will lead you to a form of misunderstanding. No refusal, right? But you don't comprehend, you don't understand. But as soon as you live it, it's over. That's what Christ said when he healed the paralytics, the blind man, the woman who was bleeding. He said, "It was your faith that saved you." I say that today it is the intelligence of the light that has saved you. I'm not even saying it's faith. The Christic matrix, when you two are gathered together, in my name, I will be among you. But I think Head Chief has already explained this. Imagine a chemical reaction. We were very happy that two chemical bodies in the room reacted. And then sometimes they don't react. They remain inert. All you have to do is provide a catalyst. The catalyst, it does not make a chemical reaction, it does not act. It is simply present, and at that moment, the chemical reaction occurs. Just be that catalyst. You're that catalyst. You are not the one who does, you are not the one who receives. You are time zero in manifestation. Understand this well and do it. That is, do nothing. Just the first and last name. Of course, you can always help yourself with gestures, crossing your ankles, aligning yourself, if you want. But even go beyond the notion of diagnosis on anything. It is the intelligence of light that acts, not you. You will not lose anything by doing that. On the contrary, I say that you will only be able to see the transformation of your body, and your life, which will become more and more calm, more and more fluid. The body will really and concretely transform itself. Everything that still bothers you today, chronic diseases, memories that may remain and habits that may persist, will disappear on their own. Esho said so. Be lazy. Be the life that lives you. But in terms of energy, vibration, be lazy. This is done without you, but through you, because you are truly the eternal I. I bring you all my blessings, and stay tuned for the rest of the program with Fehwan. You'll see. I love you very much, very much, very much, very much, unconditionally, absolutely, eternally, beyond any identity, and I thank you for being who you are. See you soon, see you always. Many and warm thanks from the assembly. Through Jean-Luc Young. The Transformations. English translation, LMF.